Now, Angelina Jolie is a carefully chosen comparison. She was spending a lot of time in Cambodia, Thailand, and Laos during the same years that I was. In many ways, she has a commitment to Cambodia, even though it's an adoptive commitment, literally and figuratively. She bought some land there, whatever. She sunk a lot of years of her life into Cambodia and things Cambodian. Still, it's deeply problematic that she has this important role in Cambodian politics, even more important in California. You know, the Cambodian...
Okay, hola all. Welcome back to Soul Mechanics. We have a very important question to ask in response to what our friend à-bas-le-ciel just said right there. Sweetie, go ahead and take it away.
I'm wondering why it's so deeply problematic that this rando actress that he just decided to compare to a 16-year-old environmentalist or 17-year-old environmentalist. Anyways, why is it so problematic that she has any kind of influence in any kind of Cambodian or any national politics or charity stuff, whatever wherever the influence lies? Why is it deeply problematic? How does he know that she's not like a smart person? Is it just like the dumb actress stereotype?
You know, and what I'd like to say there is with Angelina Jolie, honestly, if I were to take a look at her personality and you know, consider her as a person, as an actress rather than a character.
But we don't know her.
We don't know her, but my honest opinion of what I think of her is that she's likely a smart person. She's likely a very intelligent, powerful person.
How would we know?
We don't know, but...
And neither does he. It just seems weird.
It's weird that he would assume that.
Yeah, I'm confused by the comparison of the girl, the Greta Thunberg girl, and Angelina Jolie. It just seems kind of random. Like, I don't get it.
Well, we're gonna find out, because we're gonna continue with this video now as promised, and we do have other leads that our operator has dug up for us as well. So this we're getting deep into this one as promised. We're gonna carry this as far as we need to. Greta Thunberg, she's an important character. I don't see her going away anytime soon. In fact, if what he seems to be implying is true, then she's going to be blowing up even bigger.
But here's the thing, though. It could go either way, because the media itself and the attention of, you know, the populace, the populace generally has a very short attention span. Mm-hmm. So this girl who spoke at the UN, very moving speech, environmentalist, you know, protesting whatever she's doing. She could absolutely up and disappear in 2 weeks, and no one would remember her. Or, like you said, she could go on and do great things. It could literally go either way.
Well, see, chances are, with the way that things are generally run as it stands, she's either going to have to disappear and be forgotten fairly soon, or she's going to have to be precisely what he seems to be implying, because we generally don't really let people actually go on to do great things.
Yeah,
that's not allowed.
Right. Like if she was actually had some brilliant idea to, you know, save us from environmental destruction or whatever the case may be, you know, she'll probably be stopped in the name of, you know, profits and money. Exactly.
Or she'll be run into the ground.
Specifically, I'm not talking about any kind of weird conspiracy. I'm just talking about the short attention span of, you know, things that are in the news and in the media and stuff like that.
You know what, I'm going to go ahead and suggest is in itself kind of a conspiracy. I mean, we have been conditioned to have this short attention span and this carelessness, but again, as I've always said from the very beginning of this channel, it could be devised by somebody, but it very much appears to just be entirely accidental.
I think most things are. I think people, not that I have anything against like conspiracy theorists. I love hearing different, you know, conspiracy theories. I think it's interesting. There's even some that I believe in or have and changed my mind. It's, you know, whatever. But I just personally think that it's, you know, it's just an accident. I think it's just
With that,
I don't want to say a
but,
coincidence,
I mean,
but I
it's-
guess. I mean,
It's
with the-
we can say that it's deliberately accidental because the internet,
possibly.
as it stands, and
Yeah,
social
that's
media
what I'm talking
is
about. The
designed.
technology alone.
It's designed to be that way. We
Yeah.
know that it's designed to act on your dopamine production and to be addictive essentially. And
Well,
then that's
that's
what
how-
contributes to the short attention span.
That's how the social media algorithms work specifically, is that they work on what's the word, engagement, and statistically, and studies have shown that engagement is generally, people in a negative connotation, people that get pissed. That's when you engage. You don't comment on stuff when you see a post that you like and you agree with.
You know what? That's
you click the
actually-
little heart or whatever, but if something pisses you off, then you're going to comment on it and fight with other people,
Yeah,
and
because
comments
you're
are just
gonna
going to go,
become
there's
engaged,
gonna,
and
that's what
that's
engage
actually,
is,
that's a very,
is anger.
that's
That's how the
very
algorithms work.
interesting something I haven't
So then
put a whole
more-
lot of thought into.
More stuff, namely Facebook, I think is mostly the way that Facebook works. That when something pisses you off and you engage with it, then more stuff pops up that pisses you off, and everything's kind of trailed together, and the subject matter gets smushed together, because generally people they bandwagon, and so subjects and different issues get bandwagoned together. So if one thing pisses you off, then it's a fair chance that all of this other stuff is going to make you mad too. So then they just start feeding you that stuff, and engagement fuels the algorithm, and engagement is generally negative.
Alright, well in that case, I'm going to have to change our stance officially to à-bas-le-ciel, alias Eisel Mazur is a fucking piece of shit, Greta Thunberg is a fucking piece of shit, and so are all of you.
That's funny. No, I don't know a lot about this chick. I don't know anything about Angelina Jolie. I just thought it's
Angelina Jolie too.
absolutely humorous that he just took these two characters to compare.
Yeah, well, let's
Side
go
by
ahead and
side, it's
That's
so
very
funny.
particular, though,
That's
and
so
interesting that it would be the case that generally, I mean, just to propose, as we tried to propose before, the cooperation over competition paradigm, where we're going to state that it's, the competition is to be the most cooperative. Let's also put into play the anti-trolling campaign to practice. This is an exercise for spotters out there, for people who are going to take advantage of what Soul Mechanics is actually offering you. Go ahead and practice becoming engaged in a positive manner. Be engaged with things that are positive, and be promotional, and try to avoid being negative. Don't troll things anymore.
Yeah, I think that's hard.
It's hard, but it's a challenge. Take it up. Let's see what you can do. Anyways, let's see what he's saying.
All right, Angelina Jolie, deeply problematic. That she has anything to do with any kind of anything.
She's either stupid or a terrible person.
I guess
obviously.
she's a piece of crap.
Because
I don't
she's
know.
rich.
Migrant community living in California zone, that is fundamentally unearned and is based on the fact that people think she has a pretty face. It's just not really a good basis for a position of political leadership, or to have an influential opinion on politics when interviewed in the newspapers.
It's
But
not.
let's come
No,
either,
it's
so-
not at all based on people think she has a pretty face. She's taken action to.
Isn't it like
into this.
a bunch of charity type stuff
She's done a
too?
bunch of charities.
So
She's been influential in the politics in these matters. She's adopted those children, which is not for nothing. I mean, that's worth something.
sure.
It's
I mean, why
something
not?
earned by that.
Right. Give points, I guess. I don't get that the influence is so bad just because she's an actress. Is that what it is, or is it because she's a rich actress, or is it because she's a pretty rich actress? Like, how is?
You know what? I'm going to jump way ahead of the game here and call it right here. He's threatened by her as being a powerful female figure.
Oh, that's too easy.
It's cliche, but I'll bet my ass on it.
It's too easy.
Straight up and down.
compare Greta Thunberg. How did Greta Thunberg become famous? Do you guys forget? She rowed across the ocean in a 1.2 million euro yacht.
Euros, not
That's
USD.
an interesting way to get famous. That's an interesting way to rise to a position of political influence.
Okay, there's so many things wrong with those statements. Okay, first of all, a position of political influence because she gave one speech about being an environmental activist.
Right. And
So-
if she, honestly, if she's going
it
to
went
attain influence
viral.
from that, it's because she did. It's earned thereby in and of itself, right?
So, I mean, I don't know if he's pissed because it went viral or if it's just because she gave a speech. But that doesn't mean that just because you give a speech doesn't mean that you're influencing anything. Not necessarily. Is the influence
Well, if
he's
it's
referring to, I
successful-
wonder if the influence he's referring to is just because it was all over the news that weekend or it went viral, it was all over Twitter and different news outlets. Is that the influence that, we're referring to here? Because that's it. I mean, it went viral. It was all over the news. That shit never lasts. Something goes viral, and the next week there's just something else to take its place. I mean, I don't see how that translates into huge political influence.
Step back a moment. We do have to take into consideration again that this guy is obviously a spotter. To catch anybody up, he has been Eiselmazerd, alias à-bas-le-ciel. He was deeply involved in the elder traditions. He was a proclaimed Buddhist for a while. He renounced Buddhism for reasons that are somewhat unclear at the moment. Our operator's looking into that. And
To each his own, I suppose.
He's-
He's definitely a smart guy. He's well spoken.
He's very
not a
intelligent.
dummy.
He's very well spoken. He's a spotter for sure. So he does see the values in play, whether he calls it that or not.
Right.
He's seeing the values in play, and yes, it doesn't matter. In this day and age, our attention span is so short, which means that things that grab our attention is that much more critical.
All right. I mean,
Impacting.
I feel like the impacting part of it was probably she's very young, and B, the whole thing started with her protesting alone. I don't know specifically, I guess, but the picture of her outside of somewhere in Sweden with this little sign, and she's all by herself, and then a year later it became this giant event that was millions of people,
pretty bitchin'.
which is pretty cool. So, but again, I don't know how that got from A to C. You know what I mean? It could have nothing to do with her, possibly, I guess. So it's impactful, and it went viral probably because of her age. First and foremost, she's a young girl. She's a teenager, so it is weird. Maybe not weird is the word, but it is out of the ordinary for a teenage
Curiosity.
girl to be, addressing, the UN in New York City.
But
it's a specific. It's not just oh, hey, welcome to the UN. It was a specific climate action summit.
Right, and to bear in mind, before we continue to give, a small lesson here in this, what is impactful about the values that are put in play here is the factor that
It's many things, I think.
it doesn't matter if people lose attention and forget about her next week. Whatever impacted them that she put in play, that's in there, and it's working in your value system. It's a part
Planted
of
the
who
seed
you are.
a little bit.
Yeah. These values that are that's how spot casting works. We put primers and cues into play that your brain remembers it. Your brain
and then it
understands
evolves
it.
with other actions.
It's like
and
the
different
Inception
decisions.
movie where they plant an idea and somebody's got.
I still can't see the negative.
No, well,
what's
we're
so
going to
bad
have to
about
find
it,
out
so.
what he's thinking about this, but it's because of this
yacht
Rothschild
seems,
thing.
Yeah, that
because-
seems to have to play a big part on the negative aspect of this girl going viral. Is that she apparently rode some yacht,
Yeah.
expensive yacht,
that was funded by the Rothschilds.
Okay, but again, we don't know what got from A to C.
Yeah, and
that boat could have been donated. That I don't know. That could have had 20 different owners.
What exactly
Who
do
knows?
we even
I mean,
know
we don't know
about for sure about the Rothschilds and what
It's all speculation.
It could have been,
kind
and
of.
the Rothschilds is a pretty big group of people, I imagine. Like, it's a family, so it.
But there's a lot of like conspiracy theorists that talk about
any,
it. So
any one of them could be a good guy, you know.
that's introducing a whole new level to the big problem with this Greta Thunberg thing. And the name of the name of the video itself kind of caught my eye too, because nobody elected Greta Thunberg ! Why does she have to be elected to speak?
Right, and what is that implying?
Confused.
It's nobody elected Greta Thunberg! Explanation point.
Nobody elected any of these people who are on YouTube speaking and telling their opinions. You know what I mean?
Like, it seems like a complaint that he's raising. Like, he's angry that she gets a voice. That's a little bit of tisk there, but. Remember that to catch people up also that there's going to be contingency efforts working with the initiative. There's going to be these kids popping up who are extraordinary and who can make incredible things happen, and they are here for a specific reason. Now, what I think he's kind of implying here is that perhaps this one in particular may be hijacked,
set into motion by some kind of conspiratorial, family. Which, again, involves a whole other...
Yeah, that's another world, but
I don't know.
We are going to get into it. If that's where it takes us, that's where it takes us. But we're going to see what he has to say here.
So far, Angelina Jolie sucks, Greta sucks, and now it's a conspiracy.
Nobody elected Greta Thunberg. Nobody elected fucking Angelina Jolie. And
now it's a conspiracy.
That makes a conspiracy. Because of the boat.
And be invited to speak at United Nations forums, at major international... That's certainly an interesting qualification. Do you know what sort of person has the opportunity to go yachting in a multi-million-dollar yacht? Do you know what sort of person gets to buy that sort of fame? An incredibly wealthy person. Now, I do not think Greta Thunberg herself has the money in the bank to pay for this opportunity. Why don't journalists Google around a little bit and find out who did? Oh, it was in fact the Rothschild family. The boat was formerly named Edmund Rothschild. It was named after the father of the financier Benjamin Rothschild.
Keep that in mind.
Who paid for...
Oh, this isn't about the boat anymore. Yeah, again, it doesn't say anything about where this boat came from or who owns it now or how many times it's changed hands or where it came from. It's just there's that connection that it was once named Edmund Rothschild that now makes this whole thing a conspiracy. And Greta Thunberg's been marionetted puppet around to make people...
Do bear in mind these values are applicable. Like, that could very well be meaning
I'm not saying
something.
it's impossible, but it...
No, I mean, it could be saying something in and of itself. Like, I'm going to go ahead and jump another gun on this one and say that à-bas-le-ciel, Mazard, is not really an anti-theist or an atheist. I think he sees the values in play. I think he sees the force in play, the intelligence at work. I think he understands it to some degree. And honestly, I think that I don't know why he's proclaimed himself to be an atheist activist or secular act. Like, I can understand secularism, but atheism, he should be smarter than that. But it's a different topic. Let's see.
Again, we were talking about this earlier. Words mean different things to different people, so it's all about interpretation. I mean, who knows? Atheism, the terminology might mean something different to him than it does to other people. Who knows? I don't know.
It means a lot. It means something different than what it is to the people who are using it.
Yeah, but it also carries like this, this huge thing.
Yeah, and there are different types of there are different types of atheists in play right now. There's going to be this uprising of young atheist YouTubers and such who are actually anti-theists and are essentially programmed by religion, but then there's going to be another kind of layer or level or sort type of atheist that is, what atheist is actually initially intended to mean. And this guy, apparently, he is in fact standing in opposition to the other atheist YouTubers. Like, they don't get along, so that may very well be the case.
He's using the terminology for his own purposes, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, so Rothschild conspiracy. Some rich conspiratorial family put Greta on this boat, I guess.
For this boat. Now, I do not know if he paid for 100% of it or if he was just one of the major donors, but it seems that Swiss banker Benjamin Rothschild is the money behind this boat, and I don't know to what extent he is the donor behind this voyage to take a mentally disabled teenager and put her on a boat. Yeah, that's right, y'all. I said it. Mentally disabled. Asperger's syndrome, obsessive compulsive disorder, and selective mutism. All right, I've said this recently on the channel in a different context. Asperger's syndrome does not just mean you're a slightly quirky character on a California sitcom.
Okay, so
you caught that. That's what did you say?
There's a reference to Sheldon
from
on The Big Bang Theory. So slightly quirky character on a California sitcom, Asperger's. I don't think it's ever actually been talked about or referred to directly in the show itself that Sheldon has Asperger's, but it's been theorized by people. It's been implied and talked about amongst professionals or whatever. Years ago, the show is very old. It's been on for a long time. Whatever. So apparently she does have Asperger's syndrome, OCD, and selective mutism, it's saying here.
It has limited me before, she says, but she does not view her autism as an illness and has instead called it her superpower, quote unquote.
Well, that's cute. Whatever. My point is that what does it have to do with anything that she's doing?
I don't know where he's coming from on it. We're going to find out. But Asperger's syndrome, obsessive compulsive disorder, and selective mutism, that is a very specific combination of diagnoses that could be implicative of very specific something that I'm not gonna call it out yet. We'll wait.
Again, to see these types of things are very tricky to diagnose and to talk about because they're personality disorders. So not behavioral disorder, whatever. None two are the same. There isn't two people that have Asperger's or whatever that exhibit all of the same shit in the same exact way in their daily lives. So it's hard to diagnose these things. We don't know. Her doctor.
There are certain symptoms we can pick out, but for the most part, these diagnoses they're very personal. They're very circumstantial.
Absolutely, and especially when talking about the autism, because that's isn't it referred to as a spectrum? Like that's the thing now. Is that
that's why it's going to say that she has autism.
Exactly.
Asperger's syndrome is on the autism spectrum. Obsessive compulsive disorder could technically be placed on there.
I didn't
Selective
know that.
mutism, though, that's
a weird one.
a
I
very
didn't know
specific
that about
one
her.
to be combined with these. That is implicative of something
I didn't know that
very,
about her.
very. It's indicative of precisely what we've been talking about. To give a hint, a lead for anybody that has been keeping up or wants to get ahead of the game here, we have spoken about this before in the color coding profiling videos.
Well, either way, I don't get what it has to do with what she did or what she's talking about or what she's trying to do. I don't
Well, let's find out.
Any relevance.
It seems like It's,
Is
it
that
has
a knock at her credibility?
Perhaps, yeah, because it's a personal relevance for him because his brother has autism.
Okay, but there's some people that have autism that can't tie their own shoes or brush their own teeth, and then there's other people with autism, kids that are perfectly functional.
Right.
They just have weird personality traits or whatever. Like, there is no...
See, he has personal
telling.
trauma regarding autism because he never got to meet his brother. His father never took him to meet his brother, and
Ooh,
then we
that's
finally
weird.
confronted his father about it. His father, but there's a whole story about it. He does a video on that if anybody wants to look into it.
I would
but
be interested in seeing that. That's interesting.
So he has a personal problem with autism, essentially.
But
and
it's still, he's not like a dumb guy. Like, it's obvious she's extremely functional. I don't see the relevance.
So he's got to be going somewhere with it.
Well,
actually, for right now, let's clip this and move on to the next one because we're just to be safe here. So we'll be right back.